Hello and welcome to this presentation on coaching session review and development plan. The session aim for my session was to teach the basics of and improve technique when doing the relay. My objectives were, by using a teaching method known as whole part whole, we hope to show the students the correct method of taking part in a relay and to perform the technique right. I also wanted to improve timings of runs within the relay and improve baton passing within the relay. My risk assessment is just here. So wearing incorrect footwear or clothing, equipment not being put away properly, noise and distraction, jewellery and facilities. So yeah, this is my plan. Here's the warm-up, which was a game called Chase the Tail. My first main activity. Then moved on to the second main activity. The third one, which was a condition game involving timings and a cool down, along with a conclusion and reviewing the aims of the session and asking the group questions. So my session aims in review. In conclusion, I feel as if we fulfilled our objective as the group successfully raced each other using their newly learned technique. Some students were significantly better than others, but all participants grasped the basic technique. Our group responded well to what we taught with to begin with. However, the more technical it got, the less they took on in their races, and it became more about competition, which was a mistake. Introducing competition too early did affect our session. Additionally, I don't feel as if I had the best technical input, as athletics isn't my strongest area, and I could have taught them upswing and downswing technique, which I did not plan and was not aware of at the time of planning. We fulfilled our objective of teaching the session whole part whole, as we coached the session as planned and definitely improved the timings from their initial race. However, we did not improve their overall time of the relay, but they did improve timings wise from first being given the baton to the end of the session. So I would say overall this was a productive session. As much as we fulfilled the whole part whole method, in hindsight I feel this is not the most effective teaching method we could have used, as we lost some of the methods we taught them. We lost some of the technique that we taught them, as they were more focused on winning rather than the actual technique itself and learning to do it properly. We adapted to trying to do part of it walking and focusing on learning the technique rather than racing, but even within the walking session, they still ended up starting to jog and racing anyway, and were still not fully focused on the technique. So we should have made an activity more where you could win being more technical. Reviewing the session strengths, I planned well, included all the equipment we needed and the exact drills we wanted to do in order to fulfill our session aims and objectives. We also had all the right equipment. I was loud and clear with my delivery and made sure everyone understood, using clear demonstrations and asking questions to the group to make sure they understood. Weaknesses within planning include that the timings didn't go very well, and we didn't plan how long we would do each task for, and so we found we finished a lot earlier than expected and had to improvise with other drills, as we had no other drills prepared. Some other weaknesses of planning including that we didn't plan or research the technique enough, which resulted in us being very vague in our delivery. Furthermore, collaborating with other students made it harder, as we didn't have time to meet, so not all our plans were exactly the same, which caused confusion within the session. We also had different ways we wanted to deliver. Moreover, we didn't research or find out the ability of the students before the session, which would have been helpful before the session, and we could have planned more specifically. Finally, we didn't plan how far away the cones for all the activities had to be. So we found they were too close, so students weren't starting to run when they were handing over the baton, which was the whole point of the session and is incorrect technique. Delivery, we found as a group we became a bit bunched and were standing in the same places a lot. Also, with my delivery, I became a bit quiet at points, especially when it wasn't my turn to lead, and I wasn't completely vocal throughout the session and could have given a lot more vocal praise. As mentioned in planning, we had the cones too close together. As part of delivery, we could have a weakness is that we didn't make adjustments and move the cones, which we should have done, but this is due to inexperience. Opportunities include that I go on a level 1 athletics course, and this could help plan drills and give me ideas for drills. I could also do CSL or HSL courses. Additionally, I could do public speaking courses to build confidence. Delivery, I could watch other coaches that may be more qualified than me and observe how they deliver a session and their different timings. I could also learn even more about the area I'm coaching, which is athletics. This could be due to research. And my lack of knowledge of the area of athletics inhibits me becoming a better coach, and athletics courses can be expensive. They also may be far away, and I may struggle to get there if it's not local to me. And in terms of threats to delivery, the group I coached in my session weren't very experienced, and athletics wasn't their main sport. Therefore, they were fairly low ability, which makes coaching very technical drills hard and can cause their progress to be limited. My first strength was control. I feel as if I kept control of the group well, and there were no behaviour issues. The whole group listened very well and took on instructions well. This affected the group in a positive way, as it meant I could explain things clearly, and the group benefited from this, as they learned and developed well and quickly. My second strength was communication, which was verbal and non-verbal. I communicated well verbally using clear and precise instructions. I tried to keep this short so there wasn't much for them to take on and not too much information at once to confuse them. I followed this up using effective non-verbal communication in the form of a demonstration, and as I demonstrated after every time I explained something. This benefited the group as they were able to grasp the technique I was trying to teach them, which caused them to progress well as they could see and put into practice what they had just seen. Another strength of mine which involved planning, is that I planned very effective drills that were specific to the area and worked very specifically on what I wanted to achieve. This meant the drills were very relevant and helped the group achieve specifically the aims and objectives of the session. There is just an extra strength that I thought I had. My first area for improvement would be giving more praise, as I feel I didn't give enough, which may have inhibited the group's progress, as they may have felt slightly demotivated. It also may have caused members of the group to lose interest, which would have affected my session. Praise involves telling them what they're doing well. This form of verbal feedback comes in two forms, which are general motivation and specific technical feedback. When giving technical feedback, I would need a background knowledge, which can be researched. I want to improve both areas. With each race, focus if I was to do another session, for each race I would focus on giving a compliment and encouraging them constantly, and also when refining their technique, when refining their technique, make sure to give them a compliment at the same time. I've chosen this strategy because it's simple, easy and cheap strategy that will have a significant positive effect on the group and all the individuals. In terms of technical feedback, I would do research on specific techniques, such as upswing, downswing techniques, so I was able to correctly critique their performance and be very specific on what they had done well, so they know that's what they'd done well, and so they would continue to do that specific thing and continue to use that technique. This will help them improve as they feel encouraged to do the correct technique. The website I would learn and research is the one on the screen here, as it teaches me the specific technique. This will help me confidently coach the correct technique rather than giving general praise and encouragement all the time, although I do still need to do this. This target is very attainable as it is quick, easy and cheap, and reading through this website is very effective. I can measure whether this has worked or not by comparing from their times in the relay race, as their time should improve if my coaching is more specific and more technical, or in other terms better. With this coaching, the times of their relay should improve. You can see this by simply watching them, and you can watch their technique improve once you have given them the correct feedback. As part of this, I would also choose 3 key coaching points which I would focus on. Repeat and correct when doing the session. Finally, I would also make competition the last thing I would introduce, as introducing competition too early can cause the group to forget about the technique and only focus on winning. In order to measure specifically how I have improved in this area, I will do a tally of praise I have given them and record whether the praise I have given is technical or general feedback. At the end of the session, I would hope there would be an equal split between the two. My second area of improvement would be appropriate progressions and time management. I feel as if I spent too long on part of the session or one technique, which caused us not to have appropriate progressions and caused us to miss out on key coaching points for the technique of a relay race, or we went over them briefly, which was not effective. This in turn caused participants to not learn the technique properly, and it hindered their progress. In conclusion, we did not plan properly and should have been more precise on our timings. In order to improve this, if I were to do the session again, I would undergo coaching courses so I can learn how to effectively structure a lesson. This can be part of planning as well as delivery, as I can plan an effective session within a limited time constraint and can then deliver them under time conditions. Courses I would take include Athletics Level 1, and I could then participate in some work experience with other more experienced coaches in order to put this into practice. Each time I go, or to watch or participate in work experience, I aim to learn at least one new drill each time I go, and I go 4 times overall and also observe how they time manage. This would help me improve, as I could deliver more productive sessions which would improve the group further. In order to measure specifically how much I've improved in this area, I would use feedback forms, as I did in my previous session, which stated I took too long on one area and that they felt bored. In my next session, if I have improved in this area, then the feedback forms will improve. The only issues I have with this is that they may hinder my development program. The only thing that may hinder me or stop me doing work experience is that the work experience has to be local, or the cost becomes too significant, and they may not have the time or money for a work experience candidate. And finally, my last area for improvement is activity levels throughout the session. In my session, there were long areas of inactivity, as my session was very technical. This affected my session, as the group may have become bored, which would have caused them to become demotivated and inhibit their progress. It may have also caused them to misbehave and disrupt the session, which would have affected other people's learning as well. To combat and improve this, I would add some more active parts of the session. For example, I could have the first 2 parts focusing on running technique. I would add this because it would bring more variety to the session and keep participants interested. Furthermore, I could have done an activity of passing the baton on in pairs and practicing changeover 10 times each, then swapping. This way the participants will focus on technique, as it won't be in a competitive situation, and then they are much more likely to improve, and the Levels of inactivity will